In today's video, we are going to be building every famous army in history. From the World War II German army, all the way to the ancient armies of Sparta.
This is Sparta!
And everything in between. Not to mention, we'll be equipping these armies with state-of-the-art LEGO weaponry.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Stay tuned till the end of the video for a massive LEGO giveaway. Now let's do some army building. This is notorious war criminal Jeff.
My name is Jeff.
He's been pretty down in the dumps lately. Every single one of his innocent attempts at world domination have been met with lengthy prison sentences, death sentence, executions, and stressed out binge eating sessions, panickingly trying to brainstorm world-conquering techniques, and growing out the old fupa. But Jeff is gonna have to put the dad bod away today, because we're going to help him conquer the world by building over the next 7 days the most famous armies in history out of LEGO. We are starting off inside the trenches of a world war. Oh wait, Kaiser Wilhelm, you're about 20 years too early. Sorry, bud. We're not doing the armies of World War I. We're doing the armies of World War II. And we're starting with the armies of the Axis powers. We're talking Germany, Italy, Japan, Finland, Hungary, and a number of additional minor Axis nations as well. Not only will we be bringing these historical armies to the future for Jeff, we'll also be having Jeff meet with historical figures every single day from said armies. And of course, on day one, since we're doing the Axis powers, it is Brickler, who I guess is getting a little bit of breathing room from burning in you-know-where for the last 80 years. Now let's start assembling every Axis army.
Okay, let's go.
Here is the German portion of the Axis army. By far the largest portion of the Axis that we will have access to. As you can see, we have our first row of customs. These are from bricktactical.com, and they come in both skin tone as well as classic yellow soldiers back here. Then we have a couple fellas from the artillery division, and behind them, some of LEGO's Africa Corps soldiers with some adjustments to make them have a wee bit more variety. Back behind our custom troops over here, we have our high quality fakes. These are all troopers in camouflaged armor. So we have our winter camo from the Battle of the Bulge, some troops with Stalingrad winter camo, and a whole lot more variety for various situations that the German army might need them for. Now on top of our basic soldiers, we have some more elaborate customs, such as this Brickmania Panzer Tank Man here, who honestly looks so much like Erwin Rommel, the Desert Fox, that we sometimes use him as that. Then we have our custom radio operator with 3D printed headphones, radio backpack, and spotting binoculars. United Bricks Panzer Grenadier here, with Brickmania STG-44 custom painted, as well as a Panzerfaust. Then we have our medicinal man, with obviously the medical helmet, medic pack, and a syringe to shoot the boys up with some more methamphetamine. Healthy penicillin. Yeah, that's totally what the German army was taking in World War II.
Sussy butter.
And finally, our Luftwaffe soldier with custom Panzerschreck. Now before we get the other Axis nations in here, we've also got to show off our German army tanks and vehicles. We're gonna be starting with the early war Panzer II. This bad Larry's from brickmania.com, and it shows because we have immaculate decaling all across the top with front viewing ports built in, as well as working hatch. So das Tank Commander. They view out the top. The Panzer II comes equipped with a rapid-fire AA gun, as well as a smaller machine gun secondary weapon. And this build kit comes with a small little hatch that you can actually lift up here and store grenades or pistols. That's about all that fits in there. This puppy's a beaut, but really not much of a killing machine. The Panzer IIIN, however, would upgrade the German arsenal considerably. With an actual cannon on the front that wasn't an autocannon capable of high explosive and armor piercing, this puppy could shred the enemies. It also comes with far more utility. Spare tracks, hammers, wrenches, shovels, etc. are featured across the body of this thing, and this LEGO set is designed by the incredible DaleyBricks of stop motion fame. Also featuring the cutest little ball turret ever on the front right there. Gorgeous. But once again, we're going to be stepping it up a notch for the German army here with Das Panzer IV. I believe this one in particular is a battle brick design, comes with stickers instead of decals, but also a fraction of the price of Brickmania, which does come with decals. Unlike the Panzer III, the top hatch actually does open up so you can fit a tank commander on top of this bad Larry right here. Unlike the other tanks, you can actually go ahead and lift up where the engine is supposed to be, and instead of an engine, it's a hollowed out area for either supplies or tank crew, etc. And there's even a semi-detailed driver section here with steering, engine components, etc. And this little wrench is actually the ball turret machine gun slot in the front there. Tanks for the German army are all good and fun, however, sometimes you need something with a little bit more oomph behind it. That would be where tank destroyers come into play, and this here is the Martyr 3, a light tank destroyer with essentially a pack gun as its turret, mobilizing anti-tank capabilities. And this design is by DaleyBricks, and it is absolutely gorgeous.
Goddamn right.
There's essentially snug room for 2 crewmen in here, and we have one of them equipped with an actual shell, ready to load up into the back of the gun there. Additional ammo crates can be placed onto the sides, and of course we have our usual equipment strapped to the sides as well. This puppy's powerful, but really meant for light to medium tanks. The Stug 3, on the other hand, can handle up to some heavy tank weaponry it goes up against. This particular design is from DaleyBricks, and for once the top mounted MG is actually a custom MG, just adding a little touch more detail there. With a movable top turret, and like most DaleyBricks customs, you can go ahead and pop off the top, and there's a little bit of room in there for a tank commander. What's cool about this model is actually there is a tow hitch on the back, so what you can do is go ahead and hitch this puppy up with our other weapons, meaning anti-tank weaponry. This right here being a Pak 38, a lighter German anti-tank gun, but don't worry, it gets bigger.
Ooh, that's kind of small.
We've also got a German heavy infantry gun. This iteration mainly fires high explosive rounds, but it also is capable of firing heat rounds into enemy tanks. And speaking of high caliber rounds, the German flak guns are quite the weapon to have on the battlefield. The Germans were known to use these suckers, of course against aircraft, but you could also go ahead and then tilt down the cannon and utilize it against tanks. We also have 2 other iterations of anti-aircraft guns, one more cannon variant, as well as a autocannon variant right here. But I think now we need to get to the big guns. The artillery. This bad Larry right here is a field howitzer, utilized in World War I. However, these puppies had such high explosive capabilities they were used during World War II throughout a large duration of the war. But what was new to World War II would be this bad boy, the Nebelwerfer. Hans, get das Nebelwerfen!
Hans, jetzt der Flammenwerfer!
This puppy is a 6-piece rocket artillery gun capable of shredding massive divisions all at once. When we talk about heavy weaponry for the Germans, it's basically a Gatling gun missile launcher. I think it's safe to say the German army here is a highly capable machine of war. But Jeff signed up for the whole package, meaning Germany's allies during World War II as well, so let's bring in the foreign Axis powers. What's up, gamers? I'm here to tell you about Instant Gaming. Instant Gaming is an amazing place where you can get some fire deals on all sorts of video games. Seriously, it's like 60 to 95% off, as you can see here. These are all of the Star Wars titles they have. They literally have every Star Wars title. You can also get XCOM here, Men of War Assault Squad 2, all of the games I play on the channel you can buy here for extremely cheap prices. If you use my affiliate link in the description, it helps me out a ton. So thank you guys for listening to this sponsorship, and thank you to Instant Gaming for continuing to sponsor the channel. Our additional Axis powers have now joined the war effort. Now we have a number of soldiers here from Italy, Japan, Romania, Hungary, as well as other minor nations and some colonial powers from Japan and Germany. But I'll be honest, the nice figures are all the Japanese soldiers. From BrickTactical.com to Brickmania to DaleyBricks, they're just so clean looking. Meanwhile, I bought fakes. These are technically German Wehrmacht uniforms. However, during the war effort, Germany was one of the richest nations, and so they'd actually lend their uniforms to places like Hungary, Italy, Romania, etc. And I have to say, for fakes, these colonial troops look incredible! The day is not over. We still have the whole other half of World War II to army build. Yeah, we're talking about the Allied powers, baby. The ones who beat you boys back in the 40s. Now, luckily for Jeff, the Allied powers had a number of famous historical figures that we're gonna add to the hull of history here. That way Jeff doesn't have to keep hanging out with Brickler alone. That's just bad business. That's just, yeah, not a good look, Jeff, honestly. I know you're a war criminal, but come on.
But why? Why would you do that? Why would you do any of that?
Firstly, we've got Marshal Zhukov, a DaleyBricks minifigure here, and a top general of the Soviet Union. We're also going to be including Robert Oppenheimer, a Brick Tactical minifig, and of course, the father of the nuclear bomb. I have become Death Destroyer of Worlds. What have I done? Next up, we've got French legend Charles de Gaulle. Then we have Presidential United States GOAT, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And not to worry, my British friends, I know you need to be involved in everything. British? Winston Churchill, the good old British bulldog, has entered the chat. I think it's fairly obvious that I have a few more Allied figures than Axis figures, and honestly the same can be said for their armies. So let's start helping Jeff off with the US Army portion of this thing. The US military forces are some of my all-time fave custom Legos. The boys in the front line here are a mix of Battle Brick and Brick Arms custom soldiers. Then we have our more realistic customs from DaleyBricks over here, including a heavy 50 cal machine gunner. The 50 cal is from Brick Tactical, and the machine gunner himself is from DaleyBricks. Behind our custom troopers are some of the more premier high-quality fake Legos. These cost a little bit more than the really low-quality fakes back here. Then to the left, we have some decaled Pacific troopers. You just gotta love the Pacific uniforms. They look so good, man. And in front of those boys, we have some of our LCVP Higgins boat crewmen, drivers, as well as gunners. But let's not forget our specialized units. DaleyBricks soldiers from the Battle of the Bulge. You can see there's snow all over the uniform, and they're in their Ardennes camouflage. A couple of tank crewmen to man your Shermans. A couple of medicinal men. One from the Pacific Front and one from the Western Front. US Air Force pilot, a frontline sapper, similar to the ones on D-Day that cut the wire at the front of the beach, military police for all them troublemakers out there, and finally, maybe my favorite custom LEGO US soldier from DaleyBricks, an airborne ambush soldier. It doesn't get much cooler than this! Now, much like the Germans, we've also got a number of vehicles to equip for the American Army. Firstly, we've got a nice classic American howitzer right here. Nice double plating on the front, and some detailing detailing on the inside for stop motions if you'd like to simulate some reloading. We also have a nice Sherman designed by DaleyBricks. Top turret does move horizontally as well as vertically. Good detailing on the front here with a small ball turret. There's also a nice little notch here if you want to go ahead and equip some weapons for the tank crew, or a shovel or a hammer or whatever. Also a nice little 30 cal up top here, and behind there's actually a hatch where the engine is supposed to be. You can use it for some storage or whatnot, but you can fold it in. There's also another notch here for more guns or equipment, and some random studs where you could put like boxes and things. Then nice detailed Sherman. We've also got a nice M10 anti-tank gun right here. This one's from DaleyBrick, a little bit less detailed than our howitzer, but still, it serves a nice purpose. But DaleyBrick did nail the Willys Jeep here. Room for a 30 cal up top, sitting space for an additional crew member or some equipment boxes on the side. And my only gripe is these two front seats right here break a lot. So actually sitting the driver and the assistant is really frustrating. I'm not gonna do it, I refuse. But all around nice detailing. Although stickers instead of print, but it helps with the pricing of the Jeep. Very nice. Next up, we're going nautical with the LCVP Higgins boat right here. This is another DaleyBrick creation. You got the double 30 cals for the gunners in the seats here, driver seat here, little fire extinguisher, and room for like 14 to 16 minifigures depending on how tightly you pack them, as well as some nice detailing with the boat's back. You got little bump buoys here. I actually have purchased 2 of these for different D-Day videos. Our final American vehicle will also be nautical in nature. This is a portable command boat, and as you can see here, actually has a Jeep on the interior. You can lower the ramp, and los Jeep can be exited. On top of that, 2 AA guns on the front there, a nice little crow's nest with an American flag, and equipment box right here, which actually opens up, and there's a little power drill in there for repairs. And on the side over here, we have a lifesaver as well as a fire extinguisher. This is the only vehicle in the collection that is actually a fake, but it's a very high quality fake. Now, with the largest allied faction army I have in LEGO, let's move on to the other armies. We're talking USSR, British, Australian, New Zealanders, French, etc. There's a lot of allied nations. So here we go. First of all, we're going to be starting off with the Western forces. We've got the British over here, and this particular one from DaleyBricks is a member of the British Expeditionary Force in the African Theater, as are the men to the right, who are actually decaled LEGO minifigures, and you can see on their helmet, they have a little red emblem. That's actually supposed to be a rat, and these are a part of the 7th Armored Division, aka the Desert Rats. We got some British NCO action, as well as British regulars from the Western Front, as well as an Australian boy and a British commando. Now, the British forces also used a lot of colonial powers, probably the most in the war, because the sun never sets on the British Empire. So we're talking more Australians, New Zealanders, folks from India, and all of the other British colonies that partook. Canada! You don't want to mess with the Canadians. They're known for war crimes.
God, please not France or Canada. Hello, sir. Where am I?
Quebec!
And over here, we've got our French forces. La baguette! Now, all of these troopers are actually a mix of World War I and World War II French because their uniforms didn't change much. They were knocked out of the war so early on, and so what action they did see, they saw in basically the same uniforms they used during World War I. Now, these are all fake because I have never been able to find a custom French World War II minifigure online. If you guys have a plug, let me know. And I included one Belgian soldier from DaleyBricks over here with the French because Belgium and France are next to each other. Because they are very nice friends. Then we must go to the Eastern Front. We've got DaleyBricks Soviet Union soldiers here, as well as some other custom shop figures and high quality decals and a few high quality fakes in here too. We got a wide variety of Rushkis here, including some tank operators, which is fun, penal unit conscripts, and the dreaded Red Sniper. The comrades are in full force. And speaking of communism, we got the boys who got invaded during their own civil war over communism, China.
我在北京
These two fellas on the left over here are decaled Chinese World War II soldiers. However, the boys on the right are really low quality fakes. Do not recommend, but Chinese World War II soldiers are like impossible to find in LEGO. Now to top off day 1 and our World War II army, we've got ourselves an RAF fighter plane here. Very nice. I would say this is a fairly expansive army. Jeff has had a very successful day 1, but now it's time to go medieval on his enemies. Starting off day 2 in the Hall of Heroes, and my name is Jeff is going to be adding another historical figure. This medieval knight right here, Joan of Arc. Joan here is going to be leading the medieval armies of LEGO. So let's first start by breaking out the Lions Knights, the Dragon Knights, the Black Falcon Knights, the Fantasy Knights, the Viking Knights, and many more LEGO medieval factions before we get into some historical custom factions like Crusaders and the armies of Europe. Now it's easier to pitch these more professional armies like the Lions Knights here. We'll easily be able to set them up. They've already got their command center. We can line them up rank by rank and they'll look beautiful. But then we've also got a number of minifigures that either don't belong to an army and are just generic soldiers, or we don't have enough of them to fill out the ranks in a perfect medieval army. So we'll also be developing a LEGO Horde. We'll have the professional army on one base plate and the Horde army on another base plate. The People's Army and the King's Army. Let's roll. The structured professional army is ready, with multiple LEGO kings coming together with their soldiers and assembling in line formation. We've got Lions Knights, Fantasy Knights, Black Falcon Knights, Dragon Knights, and Scorpion Knights. Hundreds of soldiers gathered together ready for war. And their multiple kings working in tandem together. Truly a rare sight for the medieval times. But of course, these kings are mega wealthy, so we're going to be able to hire that mercenary horde that we so desperately desire. Let's build it. And here we have our mercenary horde. Hired hands from far and wide. Self-proclaimed rulers and contract killers. As you can see, some of our LEGO minifigures in here are as old as the 1980s. While other minifigures, we used brand new brick forged custom weapons and armor to trick them out. Who do you guys think would win in a fight? The Horde or the professionals? Definitely a lot more weapon variety within the Horde, but probably a lot better tactics for the professionals. And speaking of professional militaries, Jeff here is being joined by Pope Urban II in the Hall of Heroes. Urban here is responsible for the First Crusade, one of the most wide-ranging armies ever assembled in history. So let's build it. The Pope's Crusader LEGO army is vast and diverse. Soldiers from Antioch, England, the Holy Roman Empire, France, and every single Crusader army, as well as some generic medieval soldiers, all band together to march. We've also got some very cool custom armor for horses, for which the knights may ride into battle. But not only will they be riding that into battle, we also have some vehicles they may ride into battle on, such as this beautiful medieval siege tower with spikes below to get rid of any pesky counter-attackers, adjustable ladders so you can raise them once your army is up onto the tower, and of course the drawbridge, which shoots out this way to allow soldiers to full charge forward. But we got more than just this for our medieval army. We also got this bad Larry, a nice horse-drawn weapons rack with a nice little seat for a driver, and inside the carriage is helmets, spears, axes, swords, and more. We also have a flick-fire ballista scorpion here, which, as you can see, is equipped with a harpoon at the front, and you can flick it. Ow! Oh, that hurt! Okay, we'll try again. Yay! God, that hurts a lot. We also have a very elaborate battering ram here, which, as you can see, has a bull's head on the front. You can go ahead and draw it back and swing in to destroy doors. FBI, open up! Then it also has the shield at the top, which you can either flex in or out depending on the angle of fire from archers. This thing's an absolute beaut, but the most beautiful weapon has got to be this. The largest LEGO siege tower I've ever built. And as you can see, it's very detailed with wood boards going all across the sides, and the roof pushes up to protect from archer fire, and the bridge lowers like such. In the back here, you can open this up to get a better view of the interior, and you can see there are ladders leading down for soldiers to get up to the tippy top. I do believe the medieval armies shall assist Jeff quite nicely, with thousands of soldiers coming forward. But you know, swords and bows, they're no match for the power of the machine gun. It's time for the modern military to join the fight. And who better than Merca to lead this army, with Stormin Norman Schwarzkopf, the general with the best name in the game, joining the ranks in the Hall of Heroes. If we're calling it the Hall of Heroes, we gotta punt this guy. He belongs in the Valley of Villains. Now for our modern LEGO army, Jeff needs to understand that he's not going to be getting gigantic swaths of troopers like the medieval army, but rather highly trained, specialized troopers from across the world in small tactical units. Firstly, we've got some of our more non-distinct units. Still heavily armed soldiers, but they lack nationality markings or specializations. These soldiers make up the backbone of the modern army, but they're pretty generic. Let's start getting into more specified nations. First, the United States. We've got our more standard US Army soldiers right here, just in regular fatigues, not all that detailed. But then we've got our more detailed US Army soldiers, communications gear, and far more elaborate uniforms. A US Field Medic, Anti-Vehicle Trooper, Delta Force Trooper, Elite Marksman, and Heavy Weapon Soldier.
I am heavy weapons guy.
Our more tactical units fill out the ranks a lot more with more variety, but we should also put in some different branches of modern military. We have US Air Force troopers, US Coast Guard troopers, Special Forces operatives, and even some military police troopers. But it's not really a modern army if we're just doing US troopers. We also have some global units out here. We've got some various British boys, Russian operator minifigures, German KSK soldiers, Ukrainian troopers, Israeli armed forces, and a whole slew of random military forces that kind of fit all between the cracks here. Every minifigure you've seen so far has been custom, from BrickTactical.com all the way to Brickmania. But we also have some of these fake modern army soldiers. Let's build them. These modern army fakes aren't that bad. First of all, we've got an army from an African nation over here. I'm not entirely sure which one, but the uniforms definitely come from Africa based on the camouflage. 2 conscript looking troopers, and then 2 officer troopers. They look sweet. I don't know why these guys got their tongues out though. Looking goofy. Then based on the digital camo of these fellas, I'd guess they're from an Asian army, probably China?
我在北京
I do think these guys look better than the other guys. As a bonus army, we're dropping in a UH-60 Huey right here from the Vietnam War. We got our boy, the pilot, right here, and he's going to be transporting some of these Brickmania Vietnam War American minifigures. Got the ironic peace helmet right there, and right next to him, we got our chopper gunner. This is a semi-modern army, so I wanted to squeak it on in here. Let's assemble the rest of the Vietnam War Americans. Then there's US Army soldiers and Marines from das Vietnam War. But of course, we need to build some of their enemy army as well. That's where these puppies come in. Viet Cong soldiers from Brickmania.com. I have far less Viet Cong soldiers. However, these guys look so unbelievably good in their custom uniforms right there. This was a bonus army because we just don't have that many Vietnam War minifigures, but I think we managed to make a pretty sizable army. Plus, always gotta show off that DaleyBricks Huey baby. The modern army is considerably smaller than the likes of the medieval army, but our next army about to be huge. The Hall of Heroes is getting a little bit cramped. So future heroes are gonna have to be outside the building, but they get a little show of brickler burning. For today, we're doing the Roman army. And to start, we have our boy Julius Caesar here. And who would Caesar be without the mad lad who stabbed him in the back? Mark Antony. And one final hero for the Roman era army, the most famous gladiator out there beyond Russell Crowe, Spartacus. Now let's build these bros some soldiers. The Roman army has been assembled, with Roman general at the head, along with 2 bodyguards flanking him, and our boy with the war horn to his left. Now, as you can see, we have a number of Roman legionnaires out here. However, they also come in multiple different colors. These particular minifigs are modeled after the Rome Total War games. So in green here, we have the Brutii. Behind them in blue, we have the Scipii. And then in red, we have the Julii. Now, these were real Roman factions. However, they didn't necessarily have these different color schemes going for them. That's more fictionalized. And in the way back here, we have different variations of Romans. A variety of legionnaires, principes, auxiliarymen, and even some praetorian guards in the mix. While the Roman shield wall is a beauty to behold, they also need backup supporting fire, which is where these Brutii archers come into play. Looking snazzy. Obviously, Rome was an ancient superpower. But who was a superpower even before them? The Greeks, and in particular, the Spartans. Here we have King Leonidas of the dual monarchy of the Spartan Greek city-state. And today we will build his army. We've got our standard Greek hoplites here. But then we go up a class to the Perioikoi, who were slightly more elite. But then the most elite unit, the Spartiates. Also the most famous Spartan unit, as they were the primary defenders in the last stand of the Battle of Thermopylae. So let's go ahead and build King Leonidas his army. Let's go! And there's the Spartan army. In the front here, we have our swordsmen, and behind them is going to be our phalanx pikemen, ready to spear any enemies that get a little bit too close. Behind them, we have a standard bearer leading the march with the incoming Spartiate army. This is definitely one of our more small armies, but I mean, come on, with those pikes, it looks so sick. And obviously, an incredibly armored army. Unlike the next army we're going to be taking a look at, the Napoleonic Wars is coming to town, baby. And our first boy here is none other than Napoleon himself. We're back to the future, baby, where armor was sparse and cloth was abundant, cause it was all about gunpowder, my dudes. Beyond Napoleon joining the Hall of Heroes here, we also have the mad lad who defeated Napoleon at the Battle of Waterloo, the Duke of Wellington. France and Great Britain, the ultimate classic pairing. But of course, there were a ton of nations in the Napoleonic Wars. I mean, a ton. Like Swedes, Italians, Ruskies, and so many more. This is the Napoleon bucket, baby. So yeah, we gotta sort this thing out. Oh god. This is gonna be painful, I can already tell. Let's get to it. And the Napoleonic armies are assembled. The front few armies are French soldiers as well as officers, ready with their custom rifles. Behind them we have a mix of Italians as well as Russians, also in some of their winter garb. We've also got some French skirmishers, Egyptian camel riders, Swedish men, a whole slew of variety, but then behind them we got the redcoats, baby, the British, as well as maybe my favorite minifigure, the bagpiper. Then behind the British line we have our dragoons on their horses. Yeah, baby, the cavalry. Not only do we have the armies of the Napoleonic Wars, but we also have some cannons. This right here is your more or less standard LEGO cannon. We also have a nice little cannonball pile from BrickTactical.com, of course. And finally, a pair of these DaleyBricks artillery cannons, which are really nice, very nice detail. Boom boom sticks.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Now it's time for our final day. The final addition to the Hall of Heroes is going to be Chinese Emperor Qin Shi Huang, the emperor who started the Great Wall of China and united China and its warring nations. Now here's the problem with this medieval Chinese army we're building. Nobody makes Chinese minifigures, except China. Well, made in China. These are all fakes. These are all going to be fakes. I think it's very cool that these exist in the first place. And while these ones are not great, there will be some later that could very well be LEGO customs in terms of quality. These right here will make up the backbone of the army, peasant warriors. Now, not only do we have our standard gray soldiers here, but also got some orange boys, some green fellers, red fellers, and many variations in between of these conscripts. Now, beyond these boys, we've also got our trained professional warriors here with some incredibly baller armor. Here's a swordsman, a halberdsman, who kind of looks like a cactus, crossbowman, spearman, and finally the general with his bodyguards. But we have an even more detailed and elite Chinese army. Look at these dudes! Chinese archers. These guys look absolutely immaculate. They also have quiver attachments on their sides, which just, oh, chef's kiss. And they come in yellow. These guys look like bananas. They also come in blue, red, and finally white. And that's medieval China, baby. Jeff and his Hall of Heroes and the man burning on fire have raised quite the army. Military figures and soldiers spanning thousands of years throughout all of human history. And I'm going to be giving away some of it to you guys. I'm going to be giving away one custom soldier from every single army you guys have seen here today. All you got to do is hit the like button, subscribe, and comment down below which minifigure or army was your favorite. Thanks for watching. Bye!